Live from the City of Angels Sunday morning. It is midnight movie time, and our number one film of the weekend is Send Help. It comes in a little bit higher than anticipated. We took this at $18.5 million on Thursday night. The projector, I said that was the floor. I figured it would go a little higher than that. We get it $20 million is your winning number. Adds $8.5 million overseas for $28.5 on the global. This is a $40 million film, so obviously that's a nice start because the budget isn't nearly as high as we see a lot of these films come out. I think one of the things that was curious about Send Help, they had 3D on this. A lot of you saying, why'd they do that? Good question. Only ended up with 8% of the sales. If anything, you talk about it being kind of a detriment because you pay more for 3D. And for a film like Send Help, it doesn't really make sense, like why someone would pay the upcharge. So you lose some of those showings that would have done better without the 3D. This is what we do, you see? This is how we roll here at MMT. But it is a nice start. And I'll tell you what, you look at the film in number 2, it was Iron Lung. This film does not have a distributor. When you watch this, and it's bad, okay, we're going to talk about it tonight on MMT, the Sunday Evening Spectacular. But when you look at this film, there is no opening distributor slate of any kind. It just starts because, is it Markiplier? I don't even know how you say the dude's name. Big YouTuber, apparently. This is his directorial debut based on video game IP. So that had your built-in audience, right? You've got your big YouTuber and you've got your video game IP combining to nearly $18 million. So obviously, you talk about a $3 million film. This is 6x the budget. Already doubly profitable if you go to 3x. So this was very strong this weekend. But again, you go back to the actual product that you sit through. And you really, the question when you watch Iron Lung, and we'll discuss this later tonight, when you watch it, it's one thing to have confidence in your abilities. It's another to be able to back it up. And I believe this Markiplier, if that's what I'm saying it right, he's not a good actor. Okay. And that's the thing. You can't just step into something that is essentially he's the entire film. He's on screen for all 2 hours plus. Oh, it's way too long. And you just see a lot of weaknesses. He is a poor man's Keanu Reeves. And guys, when have we ever said Keanu Reeves is a great actor? So now we know what we're talking about. But again, from a box office perspective, obviously big hit, and he's making some cash off of this. And how about Chris Stuckman? Why couldn't I get some of this love for my film? Well, it didn't happen. It helps, though, to have the video game IP because that drives, like my audience yesterday, a bunch of younger folk. You look at the demos of Send Help versus Iron Lung, and you can see that it's under 25 was big for Iron Lung. Also, for the moment, we'll talk about that in just a second. That's A24, the Charlie XCX film that was another film that's not a great film, but it platformed it very well. Younger audiences at AMC Burbank. That's my home theater. You guys know the number one AMC. In fact, Send Help, number one film there at AMC across the entire country. So you look at that complex was flooded with folks I haven't seen in a movie theater in a long time. Typically, the audience is a little skew or older. That's a family film. But this weekend, between Iron Lung and The Moment, a lot of under 25 at the multiplex, and that's good for movies because, as we know, they're not going to movies as much as they did certainly when we were Gen X were younger. Let's talk about Melania because it is your number 3 film of the weekend, and I had a chance to see it last night. It is 100% a fluff piece, okay? No argument whatsoever on that. Nothing critical. The First Lady. I'm not saying you have to do that, but it is presented like a VH1 video, right? Just super mega high gloss. And it's really just for the MAGA base. I mean, and this is from a guy who's objective. Okay, it's just the reality of it. I don't think it's a bad film. It just is not the kind of documentary I want to watch where at least we get some level of criticism included. It doesn't happen all the time with documentary. I'm not saying that every documentary does that. I think the best are objective and try to at least portray some flaws in the subject matter, and it just is missing here on this film. Let's talk about the cost of this film. Okay, $75 million for acquisition and marketing of Melania. Now, Amazon is the distributor here, MGM, and you look at their bank vault is vast. They are not going to lose money because of this. Now, you're asking why well, of course they're going to lose money, but it doesn't matter to them. When you look at $75 million, think about this, okay? When you purchase this film, which is a Trump vanity project, it is. Guys, it is, okay? This is from me, the objective guy. I wonder, by the way, are the anti-woke channels saying that? I'm just curious. Will you let me know in the comments if any of them are saying that? Because I can't wait to drag them if they're not, because it's right there, objectively. But you curry favor with the administration. Also, one thing you notice when you watch Melania is multiple times you see Jeff Bezos in the film. I wonder why that is. Let's make him happy for his investment. And then the president says, hey, Amazon, we're going to give you this. You want to take new trade, whatever the hell. Listen, man, don't ask me to talk about economics when it comes to favorable conditions in the marketplace. I'm not going to do that. Only to the box office here. But you know what I'm saying, right? You are being very kind to the administration, and the administration will be in turn kind to you. So that's where that all falls. We'll talk about it tonight. We'll break down the evaluation tonight objectively like no one else can. We talk about Zootopia 2. It is still in the top 5 at number 4, over $1.8 billion on the global number on this film. And it's a testament, again, to leaving films in theaters, because if you don't give people an at-home option, they have no choice but to go to the multiplex to support your film. Number 5 was Shelter at $5.5 million. Round of applause, everybody. Finally, a Jason Statham film that came in way under what it was expected to do. They thought at least 8 to 10, ends up at 5.5. So this is really great news for those of us who don't want this regurgitated action garbage. This stuff, I'm done with it, man. I am so over the Army of One bullshit film. We've seen it so many times. Jason Statham is 100% every single film. Here comes Beekeeper 2 next year. Just stop. Just make better movies. Do something different than a regurgitation of the same shit. Okay? Sorry. I am not having it anymore with these films. And I'm glad to see this happen. Black Bear is the distributor on this. They also distributed Christie. Both these films did very poorly. Remember we talked about, as a new studio or distributor in this landscape for smaller films, it is not the business you want to get into. And you're seeing it here with Shelter, with Christie. Go back and look at Magenta Light, which had one film. I think, did they have a second film? If they did, it did like 0 box office. It's not the marketplace for smaller films, and you see it again this weekend. But it's also, people are done with Jason Statham. I'm not the only one, okay? And everyone says, it's your generation supporting it. Well, then screw my generation. I mean, I can go with them on most things, but definitely not on another brain-dead Jason Statham actioner. We're done with that shit. Speaking of people being done with stuff, Avatar: Fire and Ash is now at $1.4 billion. Okay? Yeah, let's start with that. Great. That's a profitable film. Let's talk about the big issue. And I called it, and I want I want to subscribe. I want some love and adoration for telling you guys that Fire and Ash was not going to come near, not just a little, near. It is $900,000 under Avatar 2. So, listen, we're done. It's over. I'm telling you, if I am at Disney, I am stopping this shit. And I'm saying, James Cameron, give me something original. We're done. I know he's doing something different. I don't want any more Avatar films, because look what's happening. We're minus $900,000. And it's not growing by much anymore. This is pretty much the end of the road for Avatar: Fire and Ash. We called it. We were right. And for the YouTube fools who decided to call out the ace, You look just as dumb as I knew you would. So here's your cake. Enjoy it. You lost. I told you guys, this is very obvious this is going to happen. Again, profitable, 900,000 under. Let's make sure, you guys, this is the full range here. This is why we are the bastion of journalism that we are here at MMT. Do not come into this space and try to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, because boom, here it is again. Weekend box office top 10. Let's go to it and pull up the top 10 numbers. Thanks to our friends over at ComScore for this. Send Help is number one for the weekend. As you can see, sort of, let me make it a little bigger. It's at $20 million, only $5,700 per location. Remember, when that number one film is under 20,000, it's not a great weekend, right? The total for the top 10 this weekend was only $74 million, and this is under last year at the same time. So look at it that way. Thank God for something like Iron Lung. Indie films came out of nowhere with $17.8 million in second place. Melania is number 3 at $7 million. Now, before you say it's a bomb, it's only about 4,000 per location. It's not good. But it is the highest debuting documentary in like a decade or so. Now, the president, I believe, tweeted out that screens are selling out. I don't know where that is. And, obviously in the red country, it's going to do better than in LA. Last night, it's in one of the smallest theaters, AMC Burbank, and it was probably about 70% full. I think that's being fair. Very diverse crowd, by the way, last night. We'll talk about that tonight. But when I walked into Melania, it was not all a bunch of white dudes wearing red caps. It was not that. So, listen, let me explain something to you. There is no one in this space, and I would argue very few, period, that are able to be objective and journalistic in their enterprises than myself. Very few, okay? You need to understand that. I do not carry agendas into things. So if I tell you Melania is a fluff piece and Trump propaganda, essentially, well, that's fair. I don't have a dog in the fight. And that's why we are the gold standard, okay? I'm tired of having the conversation. And for the other channels that won't even try to compete, let me just explain something to you. You will lose. It's not a game. Like, just take your ball, go home. It is a waste of every second you spend trying to compete with the MMT, because we are the gold standard. Number 6, we talk about Zootopia 4, is at 4. We got Shelter at 5 with only 5.5. Again, 2,000 per location. Goodbye, Jason Statham actioners, please. And Beekeeper 2, send it to digital. I mean, I love theatrical. We just can't have that kind of dreck hanging out in movie theaters anymore. We need to be better. Be better than Jason Statham. Avatar, Fire and Ash, again, minus $900,000 on the global. Dude, wow. Just wow. Oh, where's my YouTuber? Where's my boy? Where's my boy this morning? What's up, buddy? How you doing? Minus 900. How do you want to spin that? You want to spin it? Go for it. Can't wait to watch your dull as hell video. And by the way, take off the hat. Show us you're bald. We know you are. Just take it off. Stop hiding the fact you're bald. You want to play the game? You came after me. I'm ruthless, buddy. You don't know who you're messing with. Mercy's number 7. It dropped 56%. It's only at $19 million. Going to lose Amazon a ton of money. Amazon's losing money between Mercy and Melania. Good thing they have cash to burn, because they are doing just that. Housemaid, another $3.5 million, up to $120 million on the domestic alone, $200+ million on the global. Marty Supreme is number 9. I do want to, before we get to 10, because 10 is going to close this out, I want to talk about quickly The Moment, which is the Charlie XCX movie. $104,000 per location, 4 locations. Now, explain something to you. I talked about this before about locations. It's not 4 screens, okay? It's at AMC Burbank. It's on multiple screens at AMC Burbank. The 16 and the 8, multiple screens at the 16. So what you get is 4 locations, but multiple screens within the locations. So do you understand? Right? So they're able to combine all of these different screenings into one and call it 104,000. That's how it works. Okay. Again, I have to break it down, explain it to the people that don't understand this. Not you guys. You guys are smart. But some people just don't get that. So this is what we do. That's why they're gold standard. 104,000. It's the 3rd best post-COVID platform number behind Marty Supreme and Asteroid City. By the way, I do not have a teleprompter. I do not have any of this written down. This is all coming from my reading of an article last night at like 11 o'clock before I went to bed. That's how we operate here. At number 10, we are now going to talk about 28 years later, Bone Temple. This film is now minus 66% on the box office domestic number versus 28 years later. It is nearly $100 million behind 28 years later globally. As I said before, if you want to make 28 years later 3, as the movie sets up at the end of Bone Temple, I get it. If you're going to do it, you need to understand something. That is a very hellaciously risky proposition. You are so far under in 2 where you were at 1. You talk about Avatar dropping, look at 28 years later. And I put all of this on 2 things. We talked about it before. 28 years later is a trash. Oh, man, I'll tell you what. You talk about a film that is savagely abusive. It is 28 years later. And then you ask audiences to go see a far superior film in 28 years later, Bone Temple. And again, if you guys have that backward or if you don't understand how 2 is better than 1, you got to get educated. I mean, it's like speaking to someone with zero understanding of what works. It's not, it's not for debate, guys. We're not going to have a debate. 2, if you think it is, I'm just telling you, your taste is Domino's Pizza. You don't understand it, man. Go enjoy your Little Caesars later. That's just the reality of it, okay? So when you look at this, you just can't make another one. Now, if you have money to burn, if Netflix has a deal with Sony, which they do, you want to do it that way. But I'm saying from an economic standpoint, you cannot make another 28 years later based on these numbers. Nearly 100 million behind the last installment. That ain't going to work. And that's the bottom line. That's it for us here this morning. I'll be back tonight for the Sunday Evening Spectacular, which will feature the live MMTE of both Melania and Iron Lung, 2 films that I am going to criticize pretty harshly, but fairly. That's what we do. I'll see you back here tonight for MMT Sunday night. Enjoy your weekend. I'm off to the beach. It's 80 degrees here in LA. If you're somewhere where it's cold, I'm sorry. I got to say it. It's just the reality of it. It's just unbelievable, our weather out here. It's winter, but you'd never know it. I'll see you tonight on MT. Enjoy your Sunday. Peace.